I remember the Holsman. The first time I saw it, I had a paper route at the Bend Bulletin, and I went by the museum that was, I guess it was the Pioneer Museum at that time, and I remember seeing the car in there. I would walk by there going to my paper route over towards the Aubrey Butte area at the base before there were any roads on Aubrey Butte. And I used to stop in there regularly and look at that car. I thought it was just astonishing that that car that old would be surviving. I had never seen anything like that before, and I always wanted to be able to see that car run. I thought it would be interesting to see it operational. There was a time when it was fairly regularly used in the parades, I think maybe even annually. The last record that I could find that the car ran in a parade was in 1959. From 1972 or so, when it was in the Pioneer Museum, it definitely hasn't run from then till now.
It was at one of the Centennial meetings, and Tony DeBone brought up that he thought it'd be fun to get a Model T that we could use in the parades and such. And since I was kind of fascinated in the Holsman and knew that it was probably feasible to get it running, I said, well, why don't we get the Holsman running? And everybody kind of lit up a little bit. You could see a lot of interest.
Greg Fulton called me, and I think he was trying to see if maybe I'd have information to help find a way to get the car running, and so he had heard that I'd worked on the 1919 LaFrance.
And I'm not going to ask him to do it because he did such a great job with the old fire engine. He's probably burned out from doing them.
I was really excited about the concept of that car running again, so I wanted to be on board with that.
The minute I mentioned it to him, he said, I'll do it. I want to do it. Knowing we had somebody to do it, the board got interested, Pioneers got interested, and it was pretty much a go from that point on.
The Holsman was purchased in 1907 and brought to Bend by the phone company for them to use to run between Bend and Prineville mostly. And it was freighted in on the rail up to the Dalles, and then they drove the car down here to Bend. And at that time, there were no gas stations anywhere, and so they had the fuel freighted in 5-gallon cans and placed along the trail along the way. Went down Cow Canyon. If you go north of Madras, that big grade that runs up there, that's Cow Canyon. If you look, as you're going up the grade, if you look to your left, you'll see that original road that's there, and the Holsman went down that. The road was so narrow at that time that the fenders were sticking out in the sides, and they were hitting the trees and the things on the trail, and those were torn off, and so they left them at Heisler Station, which was right at the base of Cow Canyon. From there, they went up the Hay Creek Road and went over to Prineville. And there was a little piece in the Prineville paper indicating that they had been through there. And then from there, they went on to Bend. So the phone company had the Holsman for about 3 or 4 years. And then at that time, the phone company went out of business.
We're pleased on this program to present an interview with Mr. E.A. Smith, well-known pioneer of the Bend, Central Oregon area.
I kept working for the telephone company, and I'd get a few dollars, enough to live on. But in the final settlement of my wage account in 1910, I took the old Holsman automobile, which I now own, as part payment for my account.
And that's how you got that old car?
That's how I got the old Holsman automobile.
I was a little bit concerned about it, us making it run, because it's 107 years old. And when you have something that old, things are fragile. There's no parts available for that car at all. Or anything that's out there, those that have the parts will not part with them. So it's an opposed 2-cylinder engine. The cylinders lay opposed flat from each other. It's 100 cubic inches is the size of it, and the horsepower is about 10 horsepower, just under 10 horsepower. So that doesn't sound like much, but it has a long stroke and a pretty large bore, so it has pretty good torque. The first time we cranked the car over, we got a little puff out of it, and some smoke came out the back, and it didn't really start, so we worked on a little more, and then finally I got the car started, and then when it ran on its own, it was pretty exciting to see that. don't use your feet at all to drive it. It's run by a tiller, and everything that you do is run with your hands. You push that forward or back for left or right steering, and then there's a turn handle on that for the throttle. Now, you're going to till with your left hand, and then you're going to engage the drive with your right hand. So we're going to be steering with our left hand, right turn, left turn, and then on the right is the drive handle and the brake. And so you push that drive handle forward to engage the ropes, which run to the rear wheel off the drive mechanism to go. And then when you want to stop, you just pull that back, and it engages just a little piece of hose that pushes on the wheel to brake the car. Long term, the Holsman probably won't be running a lot over the years. This is kind of its little window of time to be able to relive its past. I've really appreciated the opportunity because it's been a great privilege to be able to work on the Holsman.